It's interesting. I always considered myself really creative as a kid and a teenager, and then I went into engineering school, and it kind of beats the creativity out of you.
Yeah, those
You
things.
know, relax a little bit about the numbers and let the liquid kind of be what it wanted to be.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing tandem. So having a creative side and marrying it with science, I think is the perfect kind of combination to go into an industry where it's evolving year to year, and then chefs and mixologists and people who are creating the actual distillate and liquid have to get creative to keep up with the market. Foreman?
No, I
No?
was so not not a person who appreciated fine spirits. I would
Right.
say my drink of choice was a tequila sunrise, which is a delicious drink. It's just
Yeah.
everything about it hides the tequila.
Yeah.
It's just
Seriously.
sweet and fruity.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it takes a fresh pair of eyes to get to renew what you see in a spirit, because someone could be looking at the same thing for decades and get the same response out of it. You need fresh eyes for that.
I completely agree. I think that was definitely one thing that helped me stand out, apart from others in the industry, is that I didn't have the experience, meaning I didn't know that everything was the wrong way or impossible, and I just found innovative ways to make things actually come together and happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know from the corporate standpoint, sometimes when they are hiring new CEOs, directors, C-level personnel, what they do is they don't hire from the same industry because they don't want the same bad habits to translate over. The majority of the spirits world is male-driven and extremely large-scale business. Statistically, females are more likely to land a manager position, but 90% of them will be kept at mid-level. What advice would you give them?
My biggest advice is that don't worry about the guys too much. Just follow your passion and take every opportunity that comes your way, even if you don't feel like you're really ready for it yet. If
Right.
if it's coming to you, then you've got what it takes, and you can develop, even if it's while you're doing it. Because I did that a couple of times, and it was scary, and I learned a lot about myself. And there was a point where I felt like there was someone else kind of driving the train and guiding my career. So that step to Castle and Key was risky. I didn't have any assurance that was even going to get off the ground. I hoped that the guys were trustworthy and that their transparency was authentic, and it paid off. That gamble paid off. That it became a beautiful facility, and I'm really proud of the spirits that I had the opportunity to produce there. And I guess being a little bit fearless and just seeing the opportunity for what it was, even if I didn't have the chance to release a bourbon that I made there, having all of that experience, building the whole place, seeing it from piles of trash and broken windows to actually opening day and inviting guests there, and not being scared that they were going to fall through the floor. It was an incredible growth and learning opportunity future for myself, and nobody at that point is going to take my hand and lead me there. So I have to make some bold steps and make the path myself.
That's amazing. I mean, that speaks to what you were saying earlier, which is raise your hand and kind of create your own destiny. If you wait for something to come to you, it's just not going to happen. When you transition to something new, you're on a tightrope. All that security that you built up, the good name and all that good stuff, it's gone. And you have to be very secure with yourself and your capabilities in order to feel like, hey, no matter what I'm doing, I trust my own abilities. I can do that. So
Absolutely.
that good stuff, it's gone. And you have to be very secure with yourself and your capabilities in order to feel like, hey, no matter what I'm doing, I trust my own abilities. I can do that. So
Absolutely.
you're saying females right now are still 83 cents to the dollar, and for their counterparts are males. And a lot of, if not all, companies have diversity inclusion implemented into their company. So you having inspiration behind the scenes and on the front lines, and through Brown Foreman and the women behind the scenes, and other women who have not been on the front pages of things, but helped you behind the scenes of these large companies breaking down walls for you. I'm sure there's too many to even think of.
There's a lot of incredible women in the industry that I look to as for inspiration as I continue to push forward. When I first was working for Brown Foreman, the women that I was looking to were really more behind the scenes, so people wouldn't probably know who they were, but Brown-Forman has definitely a great culture of diversity. It's just still not who you're seeing in front of the camera in some cases. It's improved for sure, with Jackie and Elizabeth, and I don't need to point it out specifically, but I think that as I've evolved in the industry, there are more younger women that are coming to me and saying, you know, you've been so inspiring, and I'd love to, you know, pick your brain, or, you know, figure out, you know, how you navigated through the industry. And there were lots of women, you know, whether in the spirits industry or not, that took risks and raised their voice and paved the way for me. So, you know, it's looking at bold women in all kinds of walks of life that took the torch and wouldn't back down. And, you know, there is definitely, I think, a shift happening in our culture. And some of that, you know, you can push and you can push and you can fight, but some of it, you know, you just have to be a little bit patient, and people will continue to open their eyes and say, well, gosh, yeah, that's really not right. Women should be making the same wages. They should be provided the same opportunities, and, you know, not just women. Don't rely on anybody else. You've got the strength inside of you, and you should be supporting yourself and making your own way. So that's been a large influence on how I've navigated my career.
It's pretty much everything you just talked about. Taking chances and not waiting on anybody to hold your hand. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. So shifting a little bit, what do you think about the grassroots success of Uncle Nearest and Fawn Weaver and Tennessee?
I think it's incredible. I think the story behind the brand is absolutely one that needed to be told. You know, the millions upon millions of people that drink Jack Daniels, I am sure, did not know the story. You know, I because I worked for Brown-Forman, I had the book on Jack Daniels and knew that it was a slave that taught him how to distill. But for him to be honored, Nearest Green in this way is just so awesome. And Fawn is the lady to do it. She's a powerhouse and an inspiration. And has been able to handle this explosive growth so well, and the way that she speaks of her team and her partner, and they just you know, built a distillery and a tasting room, and gosh, it's pretty incredible. You know, it was definitely, at the time that she started the brand, a push, you know, I think, to get people to pay attention and to hear this story, because I think it was maybe uncomfortable for some folks. But now, you know, they're taking the bull by the horns, and it's the time to shout this incredible story from the mountaintops. Have a lot of exciting stuff going on, and I teased a little bit of it on social media a week or so ago, and I've just been really gnawing on the idea of how do I start to build now the future for my own brand. You know, I'm doing the consulting thing, and I as people, you know, make these blends and put them on the shelves and find success, the price of the bulk spirit is just going to continue to rise as well. So I think, you know, anybody that really has a chance of making money without, you know, putting a bottle on the shelf for a couple $100s, they're gonna, you know, have to have the patience and the capital to build a distillery and sit on the product that they've produced until it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough part, because putting the cart before the horse, and you want to capitalize what the industry's at right now, but you just can't, and it's a catch-22. And I mean, people who had the foresight to see it coming, they're going to be in luck. The people that didn't, not so much. And consumers are so smart now that you're not going to be able to fool them with, you know, young juice and trying to switch up the label and the price. It's just not going to happen. What is your personal favorite whiskey?
I will probably forever be a huge fan of Woodford Double Oaked. It was the first bourbon that I had that I actually enjoyed. So finding the flavors that I love, like chocolate and vanilla and caramel and butterscotch and all of those wonderful things in a bourbon, really started to expand my palate. So I think I owe my palate and where I am in the industry to Woodford Double Oaked.
Listen, I want to thank you for taking the time today to talk to me. Like I said, this is going to be the main crux of the article that I'm putting out for female leadership, and you're a big part of that, and a very big inspiration to not just females, but everybody in the industry that aspires to write their own path and knock down walls and don't take no for an answer. So thank you for what you're doing, and wish you the best and of success.
Thank you so much, Sonny. I can't wait to see how it comes together.